So I'm really excited to bring you this review here of the first ever Ryzen 9 5900HX Mini PC. It's from MoreFine. It's called the S500 Plus, and of course with that monster APU in there, it's a very, very powerful mini PC. 8 cores, 16 threads, a maximum turbo of 4.6 gigahertz. It does have 2 NVMe slots, 2 SODIMM slots. It can take up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. It has 2 LAN ports on it. One is 2.5 gigabit. And we also have wireless AX, which is the AX200 from Intel. It will be running Windows 10. And just to point out that this unit here was sent out to me from them. That's why I've got it so early in exchange for this video you're watching here. Now, all opinions expressed in this video, all 100% my own. Nothing is scripted, and I'm not being paid for this. So it comes well packaged up with padding all around it. And there's 2 little boxes inside here. So I can see one already is our power supply. And these are the included accessories we do get, which is our power cable, an HDMI cable, and our power supply. So this one's 120 watts, 19 volts, 6.32 amps. It has the standard barrel plug connector, so very easy to get a replacement for this one here. It's a standard voltage that I often see used in gaming laptops and other laptops. And the connector for the power cable is what I call the Mickey Mouse cable, and you can see why, because it's got that Mickey Mouse looking head to it. So very easy to get a replacement EU, US, UK, Australia or New Zealand style plug. And onto our build and design of this one. So the height, this is just 4.3 centimeters, which is very good, by, as you can see, almost 15 centimeters. So about, 15 by 15 and only 4 high. So not a tall mini PC at all, but it packs a lot of power. So this top here is plastic. And why is that? Well, they've got the antennas for the Wi-Fi 6, which is an Intel AX200 card that is already installed into this one. So here, if we have a look, this is on the right side, there is an intake vent right here. And then on the left, that's our exit vent. I can just see the fins inside there. So this is where the hot air is going to be blown out of this particular mini PC. Now ports, there are plenty. So this is our barrel DC connector for powering this, of course. 4 USB 2 ports. We've got HDMI 2.0, DisplayPort 1.4, gigabit LAN, and then we have LAN, which is also 2.5 gigabit LAN. So very fast there. And our 3.5 millimeter headphone jack with mic support. Along the bottom, you will find here the intake. You can just see the fan inside. So this is what's sucking in fresh air from there and then from the side vent. And then up the front here, we do have a Type-C port, which is USB 3.2. This supports power delivery up to 120 watts. 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports. And we have a status LED with our power button. And they've put the Ryzen 9 sticker on this as well. So you know that this is a very powerful mini PC. And our internals. So taking this lid off, you can see that we've got a bit of spare space here. That is because there's a 2.5-inch drive. But this is a pre-production prototype model really that they sent out to me to review, and I don't have that cable for SATA 3, which I believe will be in the final version, but I'll have to check with them on that. So an M.2 slot here, this is PCI 3.0, 2 SODIMMs, so it can take speeds of up to 3.2 gigahertz with DDR4. The wireless antennas are located on the lid here. They've got a gap for them, and this, as mentioned before, is Wi-Fi 6, and they are using the AX200 with Bluetooth 5. So this card can be pulled out and replaced if you wanted to do so. If you remove the rubber feet on the bottom, you can then gain access to the other side of the motherboard, which then gives us access to the cooler for cleaning it out. If you needed to get some dust out of this after a couple of years of using it, then it won't be too hard to do. Just got to remove the rear bottom panel. And here is our second NVMe drive slot here. So this one is PCI 3.0 Spec 2. Then to cool that mighty Ryzen 9 5900HX, there are 3 thermal-copper transfer heat pipes in here and a lot of copper around the bottom and the base. So this, I hope, is going to be enough, but I'll let you know just how the thermals are and the fan noise in this in-depth review. And looking at our BIOS, just a quick look here, just to point out that it is completely unlocked to us. So all of the advanced settings you can access, you can change them. There's lots in here that you can mess around with, and only really recommended for experts, because if you change something, you could end up bricking the BIOS and it won't boot, and then you need to unplug the battery, and it's a big hassle to do so. So everything's unlocked. That is great to see. You can also set a resume power state mode too, so when it is powered off, it will power on automatically when it detects it, so it could be used on a switch or as a server. Onto our performance benchmarks and a few other things. So the RAM here that I do have installed did work out fine. So it's running at CL22, the timings. Now I tried to tweak the timings. I also tried to increase power limit and dedicate more graphics memory. That's to the Vega graphics, and it wouldn't let me do it. It just kept crashing, so I ended up bricking the BIOS and had to redo everything. So I don't recommend playing around with that just yet, at least not on this, well, basically what is a prototype version. So dual channel RAM, of course, it does run well, and we've got about 600 megabytes dedicated to the Vega graphics. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I know if we dedicated, say, 2 gigabytes or 4, performance with the minimum frames per second average would be up a little bit, but it will actually dynamically adjust and use dynamic RAM, shared RAM that is. So under Device Manager here, you will see that our processor is listed 16 times, which is crazy for the size of this mini PC. That's because it's 8 cores, 16 threads. Maximum turbo is 4.6 gigahertz. This is a extremely potent APU that we've got on this one. Very, very good. And I'll get onto the gaming performance and some benchmarks shortly. But, so the LAN ports on here, so one is 2.5 gigabit, and that one is Realtek, and the other, just a single gigabit, also Realtek. And the Wi-Fi 6 card, I've seen a lot of these cards now. Performance very good with my Wi-Fi 6 router. I can get over gigabit speed, so normally I'm seeing a throughput of about 1.3 to 1.2 gigabits per second, which is very, very good for wireless performance. Now this PC will be supporting Windows 11 too with that. Now I normally go into spreadsheets and other things. General system performance is super quick, okay? Demanding video files. This is a 4K 61. Not a problem for the Vega graphics. Skipping ahead, running this does not drop any frames. YouTube at 4K 60, no problems, no drop frames. 140 megabits per second HEVC, 10-bit, smooth. Again, not an issue for an absolute monster of a chip here, the Ryzen 9 5900HX. So some performance benchmarks here that I've been running. This is Firestrike testing out the integrated graphics, and okay, graphics score, yeah, it's low, but for integrated graphics, it's not actually too bad. Physics score, excellent. This is really good, very, very good here. And this is the test that you should run on integrated graphics, which is Night Raid from 3D Mark. Very good CPU score, and the graphics score here is the highest I have seen for integrated graphics. This is very, very good, that one. PC Mark 10, with this kind of score here, does show us that it's very potent, and yes, as mentioned before, it just handles everything with ease. Very, very good there. And this is our Geekbench 5 score. So single core score, very good. Multi-core score here could be a little bit higher, but they are running this particular chip at the default 45 watts for the power limit. It could go up to 54 watts, but they haven't changed this, probably because of the thermals. Cinebench. So this one could be higher for this chip. I have seen higher, okay? I've seen with Zeus, with the Strix that I had for a little while, scores of around 13,000 points. 11,000 points here is still very good considering it is 45 watts. Now that Strix machine I was looking at, gaming laptop, had liquid metal. It also was running 54 watts for the power limit. That's why it was able to get a much better score here. But still, this is an absolute monster here for performance. Excellent. Really, really good. And the thermals, that's another positive here. So we are peaking at, looking at our thermals, almost 87 degrees. And this is in ambient temperatures here of currently 25, 26 degrees Celsius. So that is very good, because with the laptops that I've seen that are running the 54 watts, I was seeing temperatures of up to 90s, late 90s, like 99, 97, 96. And that's not happening here. No thermal throttling has been triggered either. So if I could tweak that power limit up to 54 watts, you can see here it's just pulling 45 watts. At 54, we'd be able to get even more performance out of this. But even so, the way it is right now, really good. And if I could tweak these RAM timings, which even though the BIOS is completely unlocked, it doesn't seem to be taking, or at least I'm not having any luck with it at the moment. So the TCAS here of 22 isn't exactly amazing, but this is a standard typical timing here for an AMD powered mini PC or laptop. At the wall, it will be under full load, pulling 64 watts, and under idle conditions, doing nothing, that it's about 5.8 to 9.8 watts, which is quite good, especially when it's only using around 6 watts. That's basically nothing. What about video editing? Is it a competent video editor? It is. Performance-wise, not too bad. Now, I do some very long reviews. If you're familiar with my channel, I can get a little bit long-winded, 20 minutes. Now, this is a 10-minute clip here. The playback, the preview window at a quarter playback is fine. Sorry, at half playback there, just fine. So there's no noticeable lag, and when I play that, it's 30 frames per second. It's handling this just fine. I've noticed that with at least my very basic edits that I do with my videos, that really it is not a problem. The performance here from the Vega graphics and of course the 8 cores isn't an issue at all. But what about the export time? I'll do the standard test that I do, and that is the YouTube preset, okay? That's going to be 1 minute of footage. So this is the default preset they have right here, okay? H.264 export. And I'll see how long this takes. Normally, 1 minute of footage with this particular chipset should be just over a minute. And here we go. So 1 minute of footage. I'm going to hit start here on the timer and export. There's about a 1 second delay there from me. Oh, look at this. It's absolutely ripping through this. That's very, very quick. So looking promising. So that's going to be well under a minute here. Oh, wow. Wow. This is steaming through it. This is incredibly quick here. So there we go. You can safely say, I would think that that's about 32 seconds for 1 minute of the 4K preset. That for integrated graphics for a mini PC is a new record here on the channel. So this mini PC for exporting with Adobe Premiere Pro here, blazing fast. Another positive of this mini PC is the HDMI port can handle 4K 120 Hz. I did this little test where I connected it up to my LG CX, which is a 4K 120 Hz OLED TV. It handles it just fine, but look at the bit depth. That is 8-bit, so that's all we're going to get out of it. But still, I had the super smooth and fluid 4K 120 Hz desktop, which was great. On to our fun part now, gaming performance. This is The Witcher 3 on the lowest preset 1080p. Just how will it run? Well, let's take a look. Not bad at all for integrated graphics. Now, normally with integrated graphics, I would actually drop down to 720p, but we're getting 45 frames per second right now. And if you take a look at the top left-hand corner, the GPU's, of course, at 100%, well, 99%, but look at the clock. So, 2100 megahertz, it's holding the maximum turbo speed, the Vega graphics, that it can the whole entire time. So there's no strange throttling, nothing silly's going on here. And the performance, very, very respectable for integrated Vega graphics here. So let's have a look now at GTA 5, which is another, yes, old title, but a good title. Okay, so I have the game set here to normal settings, and the distance, scaling, population, and those settings there set to the middle, 1080p. And you can see video memory that it's using just over a gigabyte, and it can use a lot more there. So it's dynamic shared memory use. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And just take a look at the performance that I'm able to get here. So this is 71 frames per second. Really good, again, for integrated graphics with all this traffic around and on medium settings, 1080p. Looking good. I don't know what that truck was just doing then, trying to kill me. So what happens if I jump out? Now, we're going to see some huge frame dips. A lot of screen tearing. Obviously, I would turn on VSync to get rid of that. But look at this. 80 frames per second. Still very, very, very good. So completely playable. An older title like this at 1080p on integrated graphics in 2021 is fantastic. And now a really demanding game, which is Cyberpunk 2077. This I did not expect. 720p, lowest possible setting. This is still looking better than what you'd find on a PlayStation 4 with 30 frames per second, and a lot of the times it's actually mid-30s right here. So what I'll do is just get out of the car, blast my weapon a few times. So it did dip down to 28 frames per second just then. Oh, got hit by a car. Alright, still 29 frames per second. The textures didn't even load in just then. See, the game still has glitches like that, which is incredible. I mean, I'm running PCI storage here and it's still doing that. You cannot blame the chipset. Probably because I'm on the low graphics settings. But this performance, this is incredible. For integrated graphics, to have a frame rate like this, Vega graphics. Oh, I'm a bad shot here. Oh, he got me. And finally, a quick look at Linux. So this is Linux Mint that I'm running here, and everything's working. So Bluetooth, the wireless card is connected up to my Wi-Fi 6 router. No issues. The networking, all of it there. So that is great. All right, I'm just really blown away in terms of performance from this. Now, I was expecting it to be good because it's got the Ryzen 9, it's the 5900 HX, it's the top dog, the top mobile chip. But those encoding times there for Adobe Premiere Pro, wow, that's the fastest I've seen yet on integrated graphics. That even may be the fastest I've seen yet. Super quick performance. And then the gaming performance, it's actually really good. Come on, think about it. This is integrated graphics. Cyberpunk 2077 running at 35 frames per second on integrated graphics. That's really good. That is impressive. And even Witcher 3 performance, GTA 5 performance, and then the synthetic benchmarks. So the benchmarks we saw there are 3D Mark ones. Really good. Very, very, very good. Solid scores there. Cinebench is also really good, getting 11,000 points with R23. Now, if this did have a configurable power limit on it, so I tried to set a higher power limit and dedicate more RAM to the Vega graphics, I couldn't. Every time I set it to that, it would actually just lock up. It wouldn't post. So I had to reset the BIOS and start all over again. But if we can get a BIOS update to allow us to then set 54 watts, then this could even get Cinebench scores, I believe, of around 13,000 or over. So it's an absolute monster performance-wise. So dual LAN on this, up to 2.5 gigabits speed, great. Wireless 6, okay, the AX200 card with Bluetooth 5, very good performance out of that. Can run 3 separate monitors at 4K 60. We have the DisplayPort 1.4, sorry, and HDMI 2.0. Would have liked to see HDMI 2.1. And we do have power delivery with the Type-C port on the front is another positive there. So this thing is just ticking so many boxes. Compact, small size, we can add additional storage. So what about the pricing then? This, they say, will be selling for 32 gigabytes of RAM and then 1 terabyte of storage, NVMe, of course. It is going to be $999 US for the top dog, top end mobile AMD Ryzen 9 chip. I actually think that's not a bad price. Now, if you look at laptops with this particular chipset in them, they are going to cost a little bit more, but a lot of them will have, of course, in fact, I think all of them will probably have dedicated graphics, either the 6800M or probably an RTX 3060 or 3070, 3080, but they'll be a lot more expensive with, of course, those dedicated graphics options. So really impressive, but what about the cons? So for me, it is really the fan noise, that when it's idle and you're doing light work, it's not bad at all. Okay, power consumption at idle is really good, sometimes under 6 watts. Maximum consumption's up to 65 watts, and when it's pulling that, it gets loud, okay? It does get a little bit bothersome, it's loud, you hear it, it's on, it's not a super annoying noise. It is very similar to a gaming laptop when you're under full load. Encoding video, Cinebench benchmarks, and gaming, it does get a little loud there, so that is the con for me. But overall, this is an impressive, super powerful monster mini PC here. For integrated graphics, it is the best yet I have covered in the channel. Thank you so much for watching this review. Do subscribe and like, of course, if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.